Hi, my name is Eric Ryden, certified sommelier and owner of Le Grand Triage on the Upper East Side. When you're buying a bottle of wine, I think a lot of people get confused by organic, biodynamic, natural. We have all these terms that kind of float around. Today, I really want to focus on the word organic and kind of what that means and why you should be looking for it and when you should be using it. The definition of organic in terms of winemaking means putting a ceiling on the amount of sulfites that we can add to the wine, as well as prohibiting the use of chemical pesticides and certain chemical additives to the actual wine. One thing that gets really tricky, maybe we've heard this before, is the difference between certified organic and the difference between practicing organic, right? Certified organic means you get a little sticker, a gold star. Good job, you're organic, you're awesome, you do you, right? Meanwhile, organic practicing means we do all these things that we just mentioned, but we don't have the gold sticker, the gold star. What gets really tricky with that organic practicing is that now it becomes this huge relationship of trust. You have to believe without any sort of certification that people are actually imposing all of these organic production methods into their vineyard. Why would they not want to get certified? So to become certified organic, first and foremost, it's a really lengthy process in which you must prove that you are integrating all of these practices every single day with no exception, right? Even if the weather in your region is very, very harsh, very extreme, acts of God, as maybe we are familiar with, right? It doesn't matter. You always, always, always have to incorporate these organic methods into every stage of winemaking. So first and foremost, very difficult and a very lengthy process to get that certification. Second, in order to be certified organic in most regions, your neighbors also actually have to be certified organic. The reason being is that if you're using chemical pesticides, crosswinds may actually bring those chemicals into your property, right? Therefore, kind of ruining the organic practices that you have been employing. So it sounds really insane, but you might be labeled as organic practicing instead of certified organic simply because your neighbors are assholes, right? Seems a bit unfair, but that's how strict it becomes, right? And that's how it almost becomes a little bit more community-based rather than individuals in terms of this idea of organic. Furthermore, it's even more difficult because, well, the EU and the USDA have their own separate processes. So just because you're certified organic in, let's say, Europe or South America or wherever you might make wine, bring those wines into the US and we're like, we don't care. Uncle Sam needs to know that they're organic. We don't care about Uncle Giuseppe over there. And so that becomes a really difficult process because not only do you have to kind of restart that whole lengthy issue, but now you also have to pay for it as well. So sometimes you will find wines that are organic only in one country, but not another. So the bottle that we brought with us today is an organic bottle from Argentina. I really love the story here. There's a woman named Anne Bousquet who actually used to work at Fidelity Mutual. She is a master's in economics and one day was just like, you know what? This job sucks. And then she was like, you know what would be way cooler? Making wine. And so she left her sweet job at Fidelity, bought property in the foothills of the Andes Mountains in Argentina, found a piece untouched by any agriculture, right? Complete virgin land, planted vines herself, and started a winery. Even furthermore, not only in Mendoza, there's smaller little pockets. She doesn't even employ the people from Mendoza, which actually is kind of about 60 kilometers from where she is. She employs the people from her tiny little town in the foothills of the Andes where she makes the wine. So because it was virgin land and she got to make a lot of decisions on how the actual wine was made, she decided to do everything organic. But let's go ahead and jump into it and give it a taste. A lot of notes of like peach, watermelon, strawberry, a lot of acidity, right? That kind of component that makes you salivate a lot. You might even feel it back here. There's also this really, really nice textural component. And as weird as it sounds, when we refer to sparkling wines, we refer to this texture, we refer to it with a special word called mousse. Mousse. I'll say it one more time in case you missed it. Mousse. Right? Used in a sentence, you'd be like, that mousse is delicious. Anyway, it sounds really bizarre, but think of it as like, chocolate mousse or something like that, right? We're referring to this like ethereal, beautiful texture of the sparkling wine. This one in particular is made from mostly Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and then again coming from Mendoza in the foothills of the Andes. One really unique feature to the Andes Mountains on the eastern side in Argentina is that it's very, very dry and very arid there. So naturally, you actually don't have that many insects. Therefore, you actually don't need that much pesticides, whether they be natural or chemical. Meanwhile, on the western side of the Andes in Chile, which is right on the coast, it's actually much more humid. You got a lot more rainfall, and all of a sudden the need for pesticides is tremendous. So if you actually do have an option of buying a wine, let's say from Argentina versus Chile, again, that vocabulary of organic can be confusing and misleading because of organic practicing versus organic certified. But I might opt for wines from Argentina because there's actually less of a need naturally for pesticides to begin with. So how do you know which bottles to actually buy? Because you might end up with something that has nothing on the label referencing anything about organics, yet it is actually fully organic practicing. That might be because it was labeled organic in its home country, but they didn't opt for that certification in the US. Maybe it's because they couldn't afford that certification in either place. Maybe it's because their neighbors are assholes, right? Or maybe it's because they're really proud and they've had their winery under their family control for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and they feel like they don't need a government agency coming in and telling them, hey, congratulations, gold star, you're organic, right? Any of those things could be true, but as a consumer, it makes it very difficult when you're staring at a bottle and the label says nothing, right? And so what it really comes down to, I think, especially for wines that fall into that organic practicing world, is a level of trust. And especially not just between you and that bottle, but between you and I think the people that actually sell those bottles, right? So finding retailers and wine stewards that you trust to say, this is a conscientiously made wine. I don't care what the labels say. I don't care what the labels don't say. We've talked to these winemakers, we've met them, and we know that this is conscientiously made wine in and out. Anyway, grab a bottle, taste it, perfect for summer weather that's just around the corner. And then don't forget to join us next time when we've got a brand new set of wines and a whiskey coming to you from Sarah. Stay safe, stay home, and drink rosé.